Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, this is Peter from VADER. You're listening to Teeny Tiff. Stay with us.
You just started the Rise of the Empire Europe, third gig this evening. How has it been so far?
We started a second tour. We started this tour actually in November. This is the second part and a second show. No, third one. I'm sorry. I'm still sleeping. And no, so far so good. You know, it's like this time we play with our good friends from Malaysia and two other bands. Pretty ready, you know.
You will be doing Crushing the North tour in Scandinavia and the Baltic states in May, and then you will strike off the Empire US tour the end of May. A lot of concerts to look forward to. How do you keep in shape? Because it's a heavy schedule. You don't have a lot of days without a gig.
You know, this is pretty regular for VADER. You know, we're busy guys. You know, if we're talking about like playing shows, tourings, and you know, after 3 months, you know, of silence, so we had a chance to spend it with families, you know, and stay home for a while. Now it's time, you know, to hit the road again. So this is what we do. This is why we exist as a band, you know, as a metal band, you know, to play on stage. You know, this is the meaning of VADER existence since the very beginning. So, and actually, this is the best part, in my opinion, of being in a band.
Yeah. I guess in a way it has become easier over the last 20 years and more professional, more comfortable.
You know, we experience, you know, after so many years, so everybody would be, right? So we always wanted to do that, and we still doing that, and we'll do as much as far as people want to listen to the band, of course. Yeah. But you know, it's a good situation for VADER. So we never had really break. So we active band for so many years, for over 3 decades already, and that's actually the best part of history. That after so many years, we still have people like next, so probably the third generation of metalheads, who still like hungry of VADER music, you know. So this is which actually makes us happy and, you know, excited. Yeah. For so many years.
I know that you are a very hard-working band. You even played in some atypical metal countries like India, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no, you know, we are playing in many countries, and it's hard to say to me which is like not typical, because I think the metal music is pretty typical around the world. It's just
you have fans everywhere, but I guess most bands are not easily convinced to tour even over there, even if the people are very enthusiastic.
Well, of course, the metal is so much popular, and in Europe, it's or in United States, like we can even say that it came from here. But you know, this is you know, the music spread around the world for years, you know, and as far as the media can reach, you know, and the metal fans, you know. So, and of course, we had a pretty similar situation in Poland in the 80s, you know, when we were like behind the Iron Curtain, and it was like, and the media, the metal and the hard rock, anything which came from West, you know, which was more popular in the West and in the East. You know, so communism, they had their own propaganda, also about music, you know, and the metal was not included, so that was something different, you know. And we had our own sources, our own way how to get the new music, you know, how to receive demos, you know, everything. So this is a passion, you know. The music was born with passion, you know, with a hunger for a natural music, let's say, you know. For older people, it was just noise. For us, it was way more than music, you know, and that's what makes metal not just the music; it's something more, you know. And And there's a situation around the world today. There are, of course, the countries like India. You mentioned India, so we can say like the Vietnam or some countries. There are still people who got their own sources to get the music, to get metal. They're fans, they're hard fans. But the problem is the media are not so much into that, and they can't, count on like so much music in radio and surround. But
you mentioned growing up in Poland and being a metalhead in the 80s. It wasn't exactly illegal. It was difficult, I guess, but was it frowned on by the authorities to be in a band? Could you play gigs? Could you walk around in a jeans jacket or something like that, long hair?
That was new. That was new in the West. It was the same new in Poland. Just it was like twice harder to us because there were no stores, there was no magazines. So actually, we started everything. Guys like us, who wanted to listen to harder music, faster music, who wanted to wear jackets, the spikes, leather, and that was a rebel, and probably still is. This is still kind of a rebel in eyes of some, families, even if metal is already nothing special, nothing rebel as a music, because it's so much popular around the world. So this is just a part of rock and roll, we can say. It's like it's nothing. But for some families, for some deep Christian families, there's still kind of evil in the music. This is wrong. But every forbidden fruit, it's interesting for kids, and it's not like in 80s or 70s, but it's the same. Like if you really love something, so nothing can stop you.
But Poland is often considered as still a very Catholic country. Is it sometimes hard as a death metal band or a black metal band to play in Poland?
It is. That's why I mentioned that. That's why I mentioned the families, which is like deep Christian, because this is of course just a propaganda. This is like blaming somebody which is not guilty of any problems, because it's not metalheads who make problems, in any country. But they the easiest to blame, for some problems, and that's always was and will be. That's nobody will, care really about that, because this is not the situation like it was in the. There's not more a kind of terror which was like in the past. Yeah. I really hope it's not going to be like that, because we on a wrong way at the moment in the whole world, and all these let's say walls we broke through in the past in 90s, and now some people trying to rebuild them, and hope it's not going to happen for real. But the people are people, humanity. So we got like people who are just hungry for music, but the other are hungry for power, for just they want to control the other people. That's a politic, and I may only hope that the music can be, something which keep people away from such a situation and to hurt all the people. It's just that's why we do, and we love music, and we want to, we unite people in the world. So the metalheads around the world is the same, and that's what makes this music very strong around the world.
What is the setlist balance for this tour? I hope to hear some songs from Welcome to the Morbid Reich and Litany. Will you be doing some cover songs? Mainly songs from the last album?
It's there's also a problem if it comes to a setlist before every next tour after so many albums recorded. The same story was this time. We tried to mix the new album with the old album, especially with the first album, because this year is it's 25th anniversary of our debut album, which came out in 1992, and so we tried to remind this album as well. And so we have about an hour, 70, let's say 70 minutes, maximum. On this tour, it's like 4 bands, so it's a lot of hard music this time. But I'm sure so we still able to make us as much interested for fans, so that anybody can find something in that.
I really like your cover version of Angel of Death by Tin Lizzy. I wonder if you have ever played it live.
No, there's not much time for our own songs, so it's not much time for covers neither. But
Sometimes you play Raining Blood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So we love to play covers because this is like romantic classic. The metal music is classic already, and there's so many like classic songs, Raining Blood included. And sometimes we do play a song, but it's usually when we have more time. There's not. It's like 2 bands, let's say, or something. There's nothing wrong in that. If people got time and still got enough energy to listen to some classic, why not? So we're still ready for that.
The crowd is already tired after 4 bands of heavy rock metal music.
Of course they will be, but not enough tired to say like we're going home. It never happened like that. Not for Vader.
Empire came out a couple of months. James has said before in interviews that touring, which you do a lot, doesn't stand in the way of writing new material. Have you been writing new materials?
And I'm not thinking about that in the moment. So we collecting ideas because the ideas stay around, and so I, as a composer, I always have some feeling there's something going on. So I'm just like collecting that in my head, and then when the time comes, I release it, and we produce the next album. And it's, actually, we exist from album to album, and album is like the next stop. But the most important is what is in between, which is touring. And we just started, to tour with the new album, and we excited about that, So actually, it's not time to think about like what was going to be next. Definitely, something will be happening, and we will record next album. But it's hard to say. Not before 2018, definitely. So now, as you mentioned, we just started in November last year. So we're pretty much ready to give something new from the Empire at the moment, and when the time will come, we'll be ready for the next step.
I was really impressed. I've been, counting a bit the tour dates that are already announced. You have like 60 or something in the next 3-4 months. It's really hard work. It's fun as well. But
yeah. As I mentioned in the beginning, so this is the meaning of Vader existence, and every metal band existence, in my opinion, should be. And we play average 100 shows every year since 1993. So to have like 60 shows is nothing really, really special. But this is why we're here.
For me, Vader has always been a very nice mixture of thrash metal and death metal. Would you agree that the last album is more thrash oriented or influenced than the previous albums?
You know what, I don't really feel the barrier, the line between thrash and death metal. They're just so gentle. You can't really feel it. It's definitely the last album is definitely with a little bit of like this classical touch, of metal and thrash metal included. But as I said, like I'm not the guy who can decide about this thrash metal or with death metal, or it's like a bit of that or that. I leave it for fans, So if somebody likes like to compare this and to put it in a place with the name of a style, all right, it's not me. I just compose the music I feel, and if this got at the moment this more old, touch of the old classic metal or the new, I don't really care about that.
It's the result that counts.
It's pretty natural to me, and I'm not doing that in purpose. Just so this time I'm gonna compose a song which is gonna be like that. No, it's more like if I get a feeling to release a song in this way, I'm doing that, and I'm not really thinking about this. Is that gonna be this or that? It's definitely metal. We're a metal band. So.
When you're writing a song or lyrics, what's your main source of inspiration? Is it history, or is it current events? Is it things that happen in your personal life, or books, movies,
everything.
Art?
Pretty much everything. This is life, We call that life. And after years, I'm of course not the same guy who started to write lyrics. Being a teenage guy, I was more rebel, and and even if in those days I was also talking not really, I was still feeling, but the feeling of a young guy was just screaming, was against anything, Today I'm more experienced after years, and I'm more adult also in writing about. but I still use the same style of I'm talking stories, you know, and I put some real things, real stories, which like going on into some tells, you know, and this is how I communicate. So if you write the lyrics and if you listen to the story we're talking in the music, and you can, like, your imagination can write your own picture, you know, and this is what I love in that. So even if the picture is different, even if the source was different, so this is why we're doing that, for imaginations, and imagination is the key, you know? And but as you mentioned, right, every story got like a real source, and there is something which happened in realities who forced me to make a story about it. I just write it in like not in this typical VADER fashion, which is fairy tales, some horror stories sometimes with this symbolic meaning. So this is how I communicate. You know?
It's almost 35 years, 11 studio albums, if I'm not mistaken. Could you ever imagine that you would be doing this for so many years?
It depends on the listeners and the people. If the people still want to listen to the music, so as long we will exist as a band, we're like composing this music. You know, it's like I'm not existing as a composer, as a fan, you know, of this music just because it's popular, you know, to be more popular. Popularity helps, you know, to give more, you know, and if you're a professional band, you can like focus on the music and give more as a musician. But I'm doing that. I started that, you know, in the years ago when the metal was not popular at all, especially in Poland, because I love this music. I love this language, you know. I love these emotions, you know, and I feel like a fish in water, you know, in my life. And that's why I'm doing that, because I'm best in this. You know? I feel it. I'm a fan of that, you know, and I'm not doing that just because this is popular. It became popular years after we started to make the music, you know.
I have a last question. If you could organize your own festival with your 5 or 3 artists, dead or alive, who would you pick? It can be metal, it can be something completely different.
Oh, please, you know.
Difficult question.
It is. It's more like a game, you know, because like I really like to see like the bands like who still love what they're doing, you know. Of course, I wish to see the bands who created me as a Peter today, as a metalhead, as a member of a band called VADER, you know. Started with Black Sabbath, you know, or bands like Saxon, Judas Priest, you know, the Slayer, you know, like Morbid Angel, all those bands like being more and more extreme bands, you know, in a way, you know. And each of those bands I'd be happy to see and to shake their hands, like to give them all my respect and to play with, of course, the same stage. You know.